Greetings, people. It's Mr. Pooh the Trigger yet again on another episode of the Enlightenment series. So, having exhausted everything that I think is necessary from the statement, from the official statement that was given by Mr. Omoto for fame. So now let's try to summarize it, compress it, and look at all the loopholes in what he said and try to come up with the reason why he could have said what he said, and also establish where there is conflict of interest. Before we go any further, based on the statement that he gave, he alluded that this child called testimony does not exist. He alluded that according to the National Population Commission of Nigeria, if I'm putting it correctly, there is no single record of this child called baby testimony. He's not saying this from his own source of knowledge, but from the investigation report that was extracted, or from the investigation report that came from the Commissioner of Police or the IAG, the IG, is it AIG, or from the Berekete family. That's what he said in his statement, that after the investigation was carried out by the Berekete family, by the Commissioner of Police, and by the AIG, there was no proof of this child called baby testimony. That's why I just want to prove it before we go any further, that this child called baby testimony actually exists. Or should I prove it later? Yes, I'll prove it later. Let me not bring everything up front to you now, but at the end of this video, we'll just try to make it clear to Omoto for fame, Mercy City, the Commissioner of Police, the Berekete family, that this child that you claimed to not have found proof of from the National Population Commission of Nigeria, her name and all his details are in there. We don't know where you people were looking, or we don't even know if you were really looking, because that investigation report, we have not yet seen it. We don't know what it contains. So my question, our question to Mr. Omoto for fame, when we look at the statement that he gave, there must be a motive as to why he gave a statement of that nature. Because some of the points that he raised that are critical in his statement are points like, he has never, ever met Ruth Matthew in his entire life. Neither has he met the children. That was his first statement. But that does not mean that if he does not know them or if he has not met them, the child did not get missing at Mercy City. That does not dispute the fact that baby testimony was abducted. He also mentioned that I wanted to prosecute this woman back in 2019, but there are some spiritual people, some spiritual leaders who came and pleaded with him that please do not do this to this woman because of her condition. I'm concerned about who are these spiritual leaders. If they are so spiritual, why can't they use their spirituality to locate? Why couldn't they use their spirituality to locate where baby testimony is, or what happened to baby testimony on the 15th of April 2019? These so-called spiritual leaders that pleaded with Jeremiah Omoto for fame to forgive Ruth Matthew and withdraw the charges that he had laid on Ruth Matthew. The other point that he raised, which was concerning baby testimony, was to say this child does not exist because of the report that they got from the National Population Commission. And it's a question that we are still asking to Mr. Berekete, to the Commissioner of Police, and to the AIG, to say, where did you guys look? Did you really look? Did you really try to find if this event actually happened or not? So there's a reason why they said these things. Those are the reasons that I want us to look at. And one of the main reasons why they claimed that this child does not exist, and one of the reasons why he claimed that he never met Ruth Matthew, is because he wanted to make sure that there will be no point in any of the court proceedings where the judge will call for a CCTV footage? Why would they subpoena a CCTV footage if they say that this child does not exist? There will be no need for them to provide a CCTV footage. Why would they call for a CCTV footage if he has already declared in his affidavit that he has never met this family at his shrine? Why would there be need for a CCTV footage? So the reason for this entire affidavit was to make sure that the court would not subpoena Jeremiah Omoto for fame to produce the CCTV footage. Once he distances himself from this family, from Ruth Matthew and her children, there will be no need for a CCTV footage. What will the CCTV footage have to prove? Nothing. If the commissioner of police concluded, and together with the bracket, that there was no record of this child called testimony, what would be the reason for Omoto for fame to release a CCTV footage? That was the motive behind this statement, which was given by Jeremiah Omoto under oath, so that there will be no room for the provision of a CCTV footage. Why are they so afraid to release the CCTV footage? The CCTV footage is going to reveal a lot of things. The CCTV footage is fully packed with evidence. The CCTV footage is going to prove the existence of baby testimony. The CCTV footage is going to prove that baby testimony was abducted inside Mesa City. The CCTV footage is going to expose the two women who tricked Ruth Matthew and ran away with baby testimony. The CCTV footage is going to expose Emmanuel Marcus's involvement in this abduction syndicate. The CCTV footage is going to expose Juliet Matthew in this abduction syndicate. It's going to expose their roles, all of their roles in this abduction syndicate. Now, do you see why the CCTV footage subject or topic is so sensitive and it's well guided in such a manner that even the commissioner of police or the AIG will never demand it from Jeremiah Omoto for fame? They will never subpoena it. They will never investigate or write anything in their investigation report that talks about the CCTV footage. Yet the CCTV footage is the center of the entire story. The CCTV footage is the center of the entire investigation. There is no possible way that an investigation could have been carried out without releasing the contents of the CCTV footage from the 15th of April 2019. But that is a subject which they will never touch. They do not want to touch because it's going to expose a lot of things. Then we have to ask again the commissioner of police. Mr. Commissioner, what investigation did you do if you did not demand to see the CCTV footage from the 15th of April 2019? What investigation did you do which made you believe or conclude or reach a verdict that this woman called Ruth Matthew is falsely accusing this gentleman called Jeremiah Omoto for fame without evidence from the CCTV footage? What investigation did you do, Mr. Berekete? What did you notice from the CCTV footage? Because I believe you also watched it. Because without evidence from the CCTV footage, they do not have a case. There is no case of defamation. Because it is only the CCTV footage that can exonerate Jeremiah Omoto for fame. It's only the CCTV footage that can make Ruth Matthew guilty for defaming Jeremiah Omoto's character and for defaming the entire Mesa City. Because the CCTV footage will show that Ruth Matthew did not enter the Mesa City shrine with her 4 children. The CCTV footage will give us the details of the events that unfolded on the 15th of April 2019 and the absence of Ruth Matthew on the scene will automatically exonerate Jeremiah Omoto for fame. If there is that piece of information that can clear Jeremiah Omoto's image, why are they not releasing it? Unless if the information in that footage is implicating Omoto Fofane and Mercy City. The commissioner of police, I keep calling your name out. I keep calling you out because you sold out. This is what we call selling out. You sold out. You let people down. The way you handled this case, you have shown the highest level of compromise and inefficiency. You are not qualified for the office that you are occupying. Because all you had to do was to do the needful. All you had to do was to do the basic before prosecuting this woman called Ruth Matthew. And what is even more disgusting is you taking it upon yourself, Mr. Commissioner, to say you are going to prosecute this woman based on the proof and evidence that you have against this woman. And the question we ask is, what proof and evidence do you have against this woman? And the proof of evidence that you so have in the court is a statement from Jeremiah Omoto. How dumb can you be, Mr. Commissioner? The proof of evidence that you claim to have is a statement from Juliet Matthew. How compromised can you be, Mr. Commissioner? The proof of evidence that you claim to have is a statement from Emmanuel Marcus, the guy that stole 70,000 naira from this woman and her cell phone. You are defending a criminal and you are using a criminal as a witness to prosecute this woman. His statement, you are using it as proof of evidence that Ruth Matthew is defaming Jeremiah Omoto Fofane. Mr. Commissioner, how did you occupy that office? The proof of evidence that you have are statements, sworn affidavits, which are all misrepresented with false information from your so-called witnesses. And you are presenting this as evidence to prosecute this woman on 10 charges, 10 count charges of defaming Jeremiah Omoto Fofane. How did she defame Jeremiah Omoto Fofane if she has come to you and reported that her child was abducted at Mercy City? She laid a formal complaint to your office. And what you're supposed to do was to investigate and give us evidence that this woman is defaming the man. But instead you chose to take sides. You threw justice under the carpet. And you chose friendship over justice. In this case that you are harassing this woman in court with, it holds no water. It contains no water. It has no merit. And you know it for a fact. But you're just holding on to it because you want to please Jeremiah. You want to make your boss so happy. This is uncalled for. We cannot let this happen on our watch. I know this message is going to land in the right office that it's supposed to land in, but the commissioners of police, they have disappointed us. They have disappointed me. They have let down the people of Nigeria. They are misrepresenting the law enforcement system in Nigeria. If this is how they operate, if they can crucify an innocent woman simply because they want to protect a billionaire, so what does this mean as a public servant? Do you know why they call you civil servants? So that you serve the citizens at all costs. Serve and protect and maintain the integrity of the badge that you are wearing, of the office that you are occupying. But then you choose to compromise. There's no any other way that we can describe the nature of this case other than just concluding that they compromised. They absolutely have no merit. A child is missing, and the commissioner of police is taking it upon himself to sue the complainant, to sue the mother who brought the case forward. And then they are putting Jeremiah Omoto Fofane on the side. And they are now defending a private citizen using state resources. If Jeremiah Omoto feels like he was defamed or Ruth Matthew lied about her, why is he not the one in court? Okay, because he has so much money, he does not have to be in court. He can use the commissioner as a front. This is unjust, people. This is unfair. An innocent woman is toying 24/7 in court, left, right, and center, in and out, because of a commissioner of police who's supposed to be protecting her. This is unjust. A time has to come where you rise against this kind of evil doing. This cannot be justified on any level. This is cruelty. These people don't have a conscience. They don't have a heart. They're corrupt people. And now look at what is happening to this poor woman. This is absolutely not fair. So going to the issue that Omoto raised in his statement, I mean the main issue of saying that this child does not exist. This child does not exist. And all of you, the three of you, the commissioner, and maybe the Berekete and Omoto, you agreed that baby testimony does not exist. There's a question that was asked. I saw a question in the comments. Someone was asking, did Omoto Fofeng give this statement before Prof X was on the case in 2019, or he gave this statement recently? The answer to this question is so disappointing. No, I did not phrase it correctly. The person asked if Omoto gave this statement before the prophecy. You remember the prophecy that he gave that this child, this missing child, will be found in 4 days. So the question was, did Omoto give this statement, this sworn affidavit? Did he make this declaration before the prophecy or not? Or he made it back in 2019? And the answer to that is so disappointing. This statement was given recently in 2022. It was given in 2022 because in the statement, in the affidavit, at the end, he mentioned Prof X that Ruth Matthew is collaborating with someone from South Africa called Prof X to extort money from me. In 2019, I did not know about the case of Ruth Matthew. I only started knowing about the case of Ruth Matthew recently. So which means he gave this statement recently, after 2019, when I started advocating for baby testimonies justice. So the disappointing part is, if he declared in the statement that there's no child missing, that there is no proof of evidence that this child called baby testimony exists, if he declared that in a statement, why then on the 26th of March did he give a prophecy that this missing child, that what if this missing child comes out from Norway, what will you do? If he had declared in a sworn affidavit that this child does not exist, why then in March did he go to give a prophecy? To give a prophecy that what will happen if this missing child is found within 4 days, when the other stooge said he will rededicate his life to God. Do you see the conflict of the contradiction in Omoto himself? In a sworn affidavit, he claims the child does not exist. There is no birth record of testimony. And then on his public platform, in his prophecy that he gave, he said, this child will be found in 4 days. I know someone said, what if the child that was recently discovered, that was recently found from the Reverend Sister, is the child that Omoto was referring to? He was not referring to that child, he was referring to baby testimony. We have proof of that he was referring to baby testimony. He was entirely referring to baby testimony. The child of the Reverend Sister was just another gimmick to fool his gullibles, that I am always being accused, or to fool his gullibles that I have the ability to locate missing children, but is lacking the ability to locate baby testimony. This is so crazy as it sounds. So I'd like to hear your thoughts I would like to hear your views about what you think about the entire statement that Omoto Fofane gave under oath and the claims that he made under oath. I'm going to do a live broadcast after this video so that I can hear your own thoughts about what you think about this entire case, about what you think about the Commissioner of Police, what you think about the AIG, what you think about the effort that was made by the Brekete in finding justice for baby testimony. It's very important that I also hear what you have to say. But now let's prove, to see, let's check if baby testimony does exist or it doesn't exist. According to the report that Jeremiah Omoto gave, according to the report, the investigation report that was given by the AIG or by the Commissioner of Police, that this child does not exist. So then after we prove it that the child exists, then there will be need for them to provide the CCTV footage so that they can prove that they have nothing to do with this, so that they can prove it that they have nothing to do with the abduction of baby testimony. So with me here is a copy of testimony's birth certificate, which is from the National Population Commission, the very same commission which they claim to have checked and couldn't find the birth of baby testimony. So there are two things. It's either they actually checked and they saw that testimony exists and they wanted to sell a narrative, or they tried to pull strings to get his records removed from the system, or they did not even attempt to do an investigation to find out if baby testimony exists. So check out this copy. I have hidden quite a lot of private information. The only part that I have left is the one which shows the name of the child. So that is his birth, as you can see it, and that is his date of birth, and that is a stamp at the bottom, which authorizes this to be the original copy of baby testimony's birth certificate from the National Population Commission. So you tell me now, Mr. Omoto, and your team, the nature of the investigation you did that made you come up with an entire prosecution against this woman called Ruth Matthew. Because I believe the entire suit against Ruth Matthew is based on the fact that Ruth Matthew lied about this issue of baby testimony. She lied about the existence of baby testimony. She lied about having come to Mercy City. But for your own information, she has all the proof, all the cards that she bought at this program when she was going to the mountain. She has all the t-shirts that she bought from Jeremiah Omoto Fofane, and proof of the receipts that some of them she even presented them at Brekete TV, at the Brekete family. And then you still say she was not there. She's claiming that she was there, yet she was not there. You people should fear God, eh? There's a certain level of lie, or certain level, degree of lying that is not tolerable. There is no way, there is no level of damage control that can destroy this case. There is no form of damage control that can win against this case. Haven't I proven that to you people already? How many times have you tried already? And how many times have you succeeded? All your efforts have been rendered useless. So I leave the floor to you people. You tell me what you think in the comment section. And after this, let's engage in a live broadcast. Let me hear your opinions. Let me hear your views. And let's expose more evidence that the Commissioner of Police claimed to be having against Ruth Matthew. And Ruth Matthew will be showing up in court again on the 4th this coming week to defend herself from these claims and these counts from the Commissioner of Police. Do you see the struggle that we are fighting? It's not easy. It's not for the faint at heart. But we keep moving. With God on our side, we will conquer. So till I meet you again on the next episode of the Enlightenment series, it's Mr. Pull the Trigger. I'm out.